Hey, welcome back to John Madden Sales. Today I'm going to show what I do to care for my boots as far as cleaning and polishing them. I like to do it at the end of the day for a few reasons. If they need cleaning, it's best to clean them, obviously, and I always store them in my trunk, so I don't want them dirty in my trunk. And also, a lot of times I'm wearing white breeches, and so I don't want to polish my boots in the morning with my white breeches because I will get polish all over them, and it's just a given. And so what I do is I clean these boots with just a sponge and water. If they were sandy or had any mud, I could use a kind of I sometimes just use a horse brush or a hoof pick brush, and I clean them off on the bottoms. Make sure they're clean and dry. And then I keep my boot polish in my trunk, and I like to use the Kiwi, the solid kind, because I think it puts a little more shine on them. And one reason, not just to look nice, but also it's good for the leather care. When I do clean my boots, I don't use soap because that tends to make them not shine as much, and also not that good for them all the time. I use it sometimes a little in this area if I feel like it's getting a little dry and cracked, but other than that, it's just water. And I apply it with a brush like this and try to get an even layer, but that's not too critical. And I use a little elbow grease, even just putting it on. Try to get it to cover everywhere, into the cracks and crevices. And I don't need a big coat of polish, I just need a little thin layer, so I don't gob it on the brush when I do it. And when I want to do my best job, I have a toothbrush that I can get into the cracks where the sole is. I might not do this every time, but sometimes I'm in a hurry or something and I skip it, but it's nice to do every now and then. And I think I always put the boot trees back in my boots as well. I think it's good practice for keeping the leather in good condition. Also, if you store them outside of your trunk, you want them to stand up like that. You don't want them flopping over. And when I put them in my trunk, it keeps them from getting smashed if I'm a little negligent with other things I put in my trunk. And the polish is also a bit of a leather conditioner as well. These boots seem to soften up a little when they have a little boot polish on them. And I think a little bit of waterproofing as well with the polish. I think without that, the water really soaks in if it's raining. And then ideally, after I put the polish on, I like to let the polish dry a little. It just makes it easier to buff. Sometimes I'll even stick them in my trunk overnight and buff them in the morning, and then it goes really quickly. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to do it right away as if I'm in a hurry. I think the only reason is it's a little easier to buff and get them shiny if the polish is dry. And I use just a soft brush generally to start. And again, just elbow grease. Normal brushing. Doesn't have to be too delicate because the brush will get into all the places that I need it to get into. My little Ariat emblem is not showing up too well anymore, but I'll get to that with the towel later. And you can see it takes me a little bit to get the polish off. but when it's drier, just a few swipes and you'll see a nice shine for the boots. And then when I'm done with that, I'll just take the towel, not the buff. Because inevitably there's still some polish left there. And some people don't polish the inside of their boots because they say it makes it slippery, but I actually think it gives them a little more grip. You can see the towel is gripping it a little bit. Maybe I don't buff it quite as much as I buff the outside. I don't want the sheer shine, but I think on the inside where it's worn a little bit, I don't really tend to get that anyway. And there's one finished boot. And there we have it, ready for tomorrow's show day.